Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. I'm here with Alton Brown, host, writer, director of the popular TV shows Good Eats and Feasting on Asphalt. And he's also tonight's guest programmer on TCM. Welcome back.
Thank you. This is a huge thrill. It's like movie night, but with your own network.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
great.
exactly. Now, tonight, Alton is showing us his affinity for films from the late 60s. At his request, we just showed Woody Allen's What's Up, Tiger Lily from 1966. And Alton's next pick is also from that same year. At least that's the year it was released in the country in which it was made, Czechoslovakia. It's a story about a young railroad apprentice coming of age during the Nazi occupation of his country. It's called Closely Watched Trains. This is so different from What's Up, Tiger Lily. Obviously, you have a wide range of interest in films. Why did you pick this particular film?
When I first saw it as a young adult, as a teen, it had a huge impact on me because I wasn't really that aware of political cinema. And this movie, and of course, is a representation of what they call the Czech New Wave. All these films had a lot of different layers. So, you know, on one level, we've got a movie about a kind of bumbling, insecure, apprentice dispatcher. But then there's a lot going on in here about politics, about the individual against the state. And of course, we've got to remember that this is a country, Czechoslovakia, that had been a battlefield for hundreds of years, really.
Right.
The Nazis had just really been driven out when all of a sudden the Soviets are taking over. So this country's had a lot going on. It is in its own way a train depot that armies have moved back and forth through. And to see the way that that's approached, or rather the way that that's affected the lives of the Czech people, which of course are the people that are in the station, is really interesting because, you know, it's like the whole goal of everyone is to get a job that allows you to do as little as possible.
Yeah.
Which is it's just to kind of survive and hold on to watch this stuff go by. So there are just all these layers, and it works on every layer, which is not something that you see that often. Usually someone's going to miss somewhere along the line.
Right. Now, you have a real affinity, at least in these ones you've picked, for films of the 60s.
I do.
Does your interest go way beyond that and way back?
It does. I mean, I love movies all the way from the silent era up to more recent films. But for me, there's something about the change that went on in certainly film technique, which came with the what I would call kind of the downfall of the studio system, which was starting in this period. You started to see the rise of the independent, or that word started to be used in filmmaking. The breaking out of studios, the placing of cameras in strange places, a real change in the way editing took place, and I think really the attitudes of what we considered the job of film was. It wasn't just about entertainment. There's a lot of social statement going on, a lot of politics going on.
Well, let's look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great film, written and directed by Jerry Menzel, who's also in the film playing a doctor. From 1966, Closely Watched Trains. Great film. And I'm here with the man who picked it for us to see this evening, Alton Brown, the play-by-play commentator for the TV cooking show Iron Chef America. Now, we should also point out this film actually won the Academy Award as the Best Foreign Language Film in 1967.
The next year,
Yeah, it was released in its country in 66, here in 67, thus up for the Oscar for that year. Do you have a favorite scene in this movie?
Oh, yeah. Sure, it's when Milosh goes and talks to his boss's wife about helping him with his little problem, and the whole time that he's talking to her, she's force-feeding this goose and stroking the goose's neck, and he's trying to split his attention between the goose and her, and that's very funny.
Yeah, it is a funny scene and a great movie. It really is. Now, you've picked a Woody Allen re-edited comedy. You picked this very different kind of film from Czechoslovakia. Do you have a favorite film genre?
I don't. I mean, I think that for every generation of filmmaking, I probably do. It's like I really love, I like musicals from the 50s for some reason, and I like film noir from the 40s, and I break it up. I don't have any particular thing that I go for.
And where do you watch movies primarily? Do you go out to movies today a lot?
I still go to movies a lot. I deeply mourn the loss of a lot of the small independent houses, and whenever I'm spending time in places like New York, I make a point to go see whatever is playing at whatever art house is left, and there are several there. And I watch a lot at home, but I have to say that I truly believe that films and cinema is a public spectacle, and I really enjoy going with people to see films that you know, whether they're just for enjoyment or to challenge your mind, and then sitting around and talking about them. I think half of the enjoyment of going to movies is getting all charged up and talking about it, which I think that when we watch at home, you can still manufacture that, but I think by and large people are starting to miss that, which kind of worries me. So I watch at home, but I love going to the movies.
Right. And maybe as people get more and more entertainment centers in their homes and their TV screens get bigger, they'll have more people come over and they'll watch it with bigger groups, and we'll get back into those discussion groups again.
Hopefully. I mean, hopefully people will realize that this is not just something for me to do in the dark, with the people that live in my household, to really get together and watch movies. Is something that I hope people will get the patience for again.
I do too. Well, let's move on.
Sure.
Good stuff coming up.
Yes.
Up next, my co-host Alton Brown's going to be back to help me introduce another of his picks. This is a very striking crime drama from the late 1960s with Lee Marvin, and Lee ain't smiling.
Not once.